Hi, I'm Betty. Welcome to my kitchen. Although I have a tried and true list of Christmas cookies that I've been making for many, many years, I do like to try new things once in a while. And the other day, I made a Linzer cookie with hazelnuts and raspberry jam. And the cookies were so pretty, I thought, I'd like to do another variation of these. So in thinking about it, what I came up with was a chocolate peppermint Linzer. Now granted, these have nothing to do with Linzer cookies other than their pretty shape. But they're delicious, and I think there's something you might enjoy too. So the ingredients for our chocolate peppermint Linzers are a cup of butter, which I have already in my mixer, together with a half cup of granulated sugar. The butter, of course, is at room temperature. And to that, I'm going to add 2.5 cups of plain all-purpose flour and a half cup of cocoa powder. I'm just going to sift these together, ready for adding once I've creamed my butter and sugar. Just giving this flour and cocoa mixture a stir to make sure it's fairly well mixed here. And now I'm going to start creaming the butter and sugar. You want to do that for 2 to 3 minutes. Make sure it's well creamed and light and fluffy. That looks well mixed, and so now I'm going to start adding the flour cocoa mixture. I'm going to do that a generous half cup at a time. I'll just lower this so as I don't make a mess. Put it back up and start off slowly so you don't get a face full of flour and cocoa. And once that's fairly well mixed, you just add another cup and keep going until you have it all added. Because I'm using a flex blade in my mixer, I didn't have to stop and scrape the bowl down at all. Except for the very end here, I'm going to gather up this little bit that's on the top. Just wipe that onto the blade and give it a final little spin. There, beautifully mixed. Now I'm ready to take this over to my counter and essentially dump it out on the counter, and I'll be ready to roll it out. Anytime I'm going to dump a dough like this out on the counter to be kneaded or anything, I like to gather it together with my hands as much as possible, just so that it doesn't go all over the place. And I'm just going to give this a little knead to make sure it's smooth. Feels really nice. I'm going to shape that into a log. I'm going to cut this in half and place it on a piece of wax paper. If you've seen me do pie crust or anything, pretty much anything I roll out, I like to do it between 2 sheets of wax paper. Saves a lot of cleanup, but in making a cutout cookie like this, you'll see it makes for a really easy way to get nice, even cookies. Now I have on my rolling pin these little rubber rings. These are 1/4 inch. They're available in cookware shops and they come in a bag with different colors. They go from a 1/4 inch to less than a 1/2 inch. But it's a great tool for getting a really even roll on cookies or pie crust, whatever you might be rolling. I'm just going to roll this out. And the wax paper makes it easy to turn. I don't have to worry about adding extra flour, just something you don't always want to do because it can toughen a cookie or pie crust for that matter. The chocolate smells so good even at this point. This is a new cookie I'm making this year. To add to the repertoire of family cookies. just make sure that's all evenly rolled out. And you can sort of see a little ripple there, which tells me that it's not quite even. So I just keep going until basically when I roll, I don't see any more of those ripples. And I think we're just about there. Good. Now, before I cut it out, I'm going to remove the top sheet of wax paper. Then I'm going to flip this over and remove the top one. Now, when you're removing it, don't pull it up straight. Pull it back like this. That's a trick, believe it or not, I learned from a surgeon many years ago when he was removing some adhesive bandage. You place less stress on it that way, and it comes off more easily. Now, I'm going to start stamping out. I'm using a very small cookie cutter. When we eat Christmas cookies in our household, we like to have lots of different kinds. So by making them small, it means you can eat more different cookies. But you, of course, can make them any size you like. Just go around and stamp these. There, I've got those all stamped out. And now I'm going to get ready to place them on my cookie sheet. I'm just going to use a little offset spatula to help me transfer these to the cookie sheet. Now, if your kitchen is exceptionally warm and the dough has gotten too soft, just pop it in the refrigerator for a minute or two. But you can see, by having released the wax paper on both sides, these are coming off very easily. And I'm putting them, of course, on a parchment-lined cookie sheet. They don't spread very much, so you don't have to leave a whole lot of space in between. I've gathered up the scraps from cutting out that first batch, and I'm re-rolling it. You can do that twice. What you're going to have to be careful about is making, of course, the same number of tops and bottoms, because as you'll see, the top of these cookies is going to have a little special extra feature. That looks pretty good. So I've rolled out what will be the top of my cookies, and I'm going to cut out of the center using this little cutter a star, so that when I sandwich them together, my filling will show through. And just try to get that as close to the center as possible. Now, in the same way, I'm going to transfer these to the cookie sheet with the slight difference of popping this little star out. My cookies are all cut out and they're ready to go in the oven, which is preheated at 325 degrees. And they're going to go in for between 12 and 14 minutes. It's late in the afternoon when we're doing this, and we are enjoying the most magnificent sunset. There, they look perfect. When I first thought about making this cookie, I knew I wanted to fill it with some kind of peppermint filling. And I was thinking about white chocolate and crushed peppermint. But I was at my local craft store the other day and found this Wilton product, which is candy melts, which is not that much different from white chocolate, which isn't really chocolate anyway. And it comes with the candy canes already crushed in it, and I can melt it just in the microwave. So I decided I would use that. So now I'm going to just pop this into the microwave for a minute or two and get this all melted and ready to fill my chocolate cookies. Following the directions, I'm going to cook these for 1 minute at half power and see how they are at that point. At the 1 minute mark, they've just started to melt, but obviously they need a while longer. So I will put them back in for a second minute at half power and see how we go from there. All right, after a second minute, these are pretty much melted, and I think I'll just continue to stir it until they're nice and smooth. To fill these, I found that a spoon really works best. I'm using a little demi-tasse spoon, which works fine. Just want to put a little bit of filling, not too much. Put your second cookie on top. There, you have a beautiful cookie. Perfect for a tray of delicious Christmas cookies.